historians have begun to discover that some of the practices we tend to associate with Islam today, such as the veiling of women, were actually practices before Islam that were practiced both by the upper class Christians and Jews. In Jewish practice in particular, let me just go through some of the others that I haven't mentioned. Female veiling, of course, I mentioned, but it's also important to point out that even pagan women of the upper classes were veiled often in Arabia at that time. So again, we're talking about something that's a very widespread aspect of Middle Eastern culture that Islam adopted. Yom Kippur was called Ashura, or the 10th, by the Jews of Arabia. It was the 10th of the month of Tishri. The term Ashura was later on adopted into Islam for the 10th of the first month of Muharram, which of course is a very different meaning. This is associated particularly with Shiite Islam because it commemorates the date of the death of the Prophet's grandsons Hassan and Hussein in battle against the Umayyads. Yes?
I was just wondering about Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Does it still fall? Is it a lunar? Do the Jews follow it on a lunar? Is it consistent?
As far as I know, it is, isn't it? Does anybody?
Yeah. It's certainly not on the same date.
Yeah, so that's right. It's movable, so it has to be, of course. Yes. Right.
So it does coincide with the 10th of Muharram?
It doesn't coincide with the 10th of Muharram. It's just the term that's used. All right. So usually it doesn't coincide at all.
The Jews in Medina, were they doing it according to the Arab lunar calendar?
No, they did it according to the Jewish calendar. It comes on the 10th of the month of Tishri, but it was called Ashura. So what was taken over into later Islamic usage was the term Ashura for the 10th. All right, and this is where it comes especially into the Shi'i practice. Also, there's some information we have on Passover celebrations. Apparently, the Jews of Medina in particular were known for heavy partying on Passover. There's a common practice of magic, and this is something also that's picked up. This is not so much a sort of a formal Islamic thing, but in sort of historical Islamic civilization and culture, Jews were considered the main source of information on magical practices. And so when you have, for example, within the Muslim tradition, books of divination and books of magic, which one did find from time to time in the Muslim world, one finds heavy borrowing from Jewish sources, lots of terms coming over from Aramaic. Apart from Arabic, of course, the main language of the Jews of Arabia was not so much Hebrew, but Aramaic. Aramaic is another Semitic language of the Middle East. The term Aramaic is most closely connected with Iraq. There's what's basically considered a Western Aramaic and an Eastern Aramaic. Eastern Aramaic is Aramaic per se. Western Aramaic goes under the name of Syriac. And we have also in early Muslim documents, a lot of early Muslim historical documents, and even commentaries on the Quran, the idea that Syriac was sort of the primordial language. And it was considered by the North Arabs to be an ancient language and also an ancient written language. Now again, the Arabic language doesn't come from Syriac, but Arabic script, and in particular the Kufi script, which is sort of the more squared, stylized architectural script, is a version of Syriac. It comes out of Syriac.